Do you remember the days when you'd come home from school to open up your DS and play Pokemon? Being excited to beat the next gym leader or trade with your friends. That was 10 or more years ago. Now it's 2023 and Pokemon just seems like a cash grab. We got a lousy excuse of a Gen 4 remake in an open world Pokemon game that seems to barely run on its console. So why did Pokemon lose its charm and where did it go wrong? Before we get started, I want to say thank you for 5,000 views on my last video and 7.3 thousand subscribers. Shout out to everybody in the comments. You guys are awesome. High expectations. With the release of the Nintendo Switch in 2017, the Pokemon community had high expectations of better quality games. But as soon as the Pokemon game started rolling out, the community got more and more disappointed. I'm not sure if I can really look back at a Pokemon game on the Switch and think too highly of it. It just doesn't have the same charm as the DS did or even the 3DS, yet it can perform so much better. For example, the lacking animations in Sword and Shield and the lacking performance of Scarlet and Violet. I guess you can give them the benefit of the doubt since it was their first 3D Pokemon games on the new hardware, but they couldn't even do the 2D title remakes any better because we got chibis. Chibis!
Hey y'all, come look at this.
That brings us to our next point, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Pokemon Shining Pearl. These were easily one of the most highly anticipated remakes of Pokemon, and they failed. I don't know why we got chibis. Everybody was expecting this game to be in a 3D open world setting. Instead, we got the exact same game, just in chibi form. This brought down a whole lot of people. For years, people wanted this game to be remade on new hardware and better graphics. I remember typing in YouTube comment sections like, I cannot wait for Gen 4 remakes, but it just got laughed at when they came out with these chibis. The potential this remake had was insane, but we were left with this. Quantity over quality. Nowadays, it just seems like Game Freak and Pokemon are trying to produce as many games as possible without listening to what the fans actually want. Let's just take a look at some of the ratings of the Pokemon games that came out on the Nintendo Switch. Pokemon has received some of the lowest ratings ever since producing games on the Nintendo Switch. The only game that received any good ratings was Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Now let's just take a look at some of the ratings of Pokemon games that came out on the Nintendo DS. Okay, as you can see, there's a big difference. Almost each game that came out on the DS has a rating of almost 5 out of 5 stars. The next point I want to address is the art style and soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, the Nintendo Switch Pokemon games have some good soundtracks. I don't know if I can say the same for the art style, but that's where DS Pokemon games feel different. We had 2D Pokemon sprites that just hit differently, and even when 3DS Pokemon games switched to 3D sprites, it still felt fun. And DS Pokemon games had some of the best soundtracks in all of Pokemon. Like, just listen to these bangers. And the soundtrack switches up and got me like, you cannot tell me Pokemon did not make the best soundtracks on the DS. Let me know if you guys agree with that though in the comments. I don't want to get controversial, but Pokemon DLCs. Game Freak knows Pokemon fans are gonna buy every single Pokemon game that gets created, even if they like it or not. This is where they sprinkle in their DLCs. Pokemon Sword and Shield, Isle of Armor. Pokemon Sword and Shield, Crown Tundra. Pokemon Scarlet Violet, Indigo Disc. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the Teal Mask. Don't get me wrong, Pokemon Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra had a good storyline, so the DLC was well worth its money. But this brings up the question, is Pokemon just trying to make a quick buck off of us by adding in all of these DLCs, or do they truly care about what their fans want? And don't get me started with the Pokemon Home subscription fees. Like, I can lose custody of my Pokemon if I don't pay, wait, how much money is it? $16 for, oh my gosh, 12 months, and they got other plans too. I remember Pokemon Bank being $5 for the whole year. I guess inflation really hit Pokemon hard. That brings me to my final point, nostalgia. Of course, older Pokemon fans are gonna say,
actually, Gen 4 Pokemon games were at its peak because...
It's only natural because we grew up playing these Pokemon games. Of course, Pokemon is gonna change their gimmicks, art styles, animations, and so much more. In no way am I hating on the new Pokemon games. I am truly a fan of Pokemon and the games they've been producing lately. I think it would be interesting to see Pokemon games bring aspects of older games back into the newer games. And it's funny to think the kids growing up playing Gen 9 are going to look back and say the same thing about this generation. Subscribe if you enjoyed, because we're trying to hit 10,000 subs. And let me know in the comments, did Pokemon really lose its charm?
Pikachu!